How much more pain are people going to have to feel? Because here's the thing. When you have a headline from the Wall Street Journal that says, worst April since the Great Depression, and you have business leaders, Wall Street, small businesses, farmers saying, help, 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 you're tanking our economy, this is too much chaos, this is too much pain. And let's be honest, he did campaign on tariffs, but he didn't say there'd be pain. And now people are living it and realizing, and by the way, this is before we even get to the budget and whatever cuts may end up in the final version of the budget and the impact that people will feel on that. So I think part of what you're seeing is people feel betrayed. They feel like you said you were going to deal with inflation and costs, and you have not done it.
So when people write about the history of this moment in the United States, when they write the history of what was happening in the 2020s, when democracies in some cases were falling into authoritarianism and dictatorship, when lots of democracies around the world started sliding in that direction and then fought their way back, what will the story be about us in our country in 2025? I mean, what will they say about what motivates our protest movement here against Trump? It's not like it is in Serbia, right? You can't trace it to, you're not going to be able to trace it to the one railway station collapse like they had, right? Serving as the catalyst for that movement that just caught fire and took over the country. For us, it's a million things. I mean, your mileage may vary. Maybe for you, it is that Avelo Airlines decision to keep marketing themselves to U.S. customers for pleasure trips, while they're also using their planes and their pilots to fly deportation flights for Trump for profit.
Tariffs on basically the entire world will do what for the economy?
It will send it into reverse. Let there be no doubt about this. The president said today a whole load of economic nonsense, things that we know simply will not happen. He talks about it being great for the economy and it's going to boost growth. It will not. Look, I've studied this a million which ways upside down, and many of the people in that rose garden know it. The president conveniently forgot about the Payne-Aldrich Act of 1910. He ignored the Fort Macumber Act of 1910. He went straight through Smoot-Hawley. And then he gets to this nirvana where billions of dollars are going to come in. Where does he think these billions are coming from? They're coming from importers. Importers will pay because they get something known as a customs schedule when the goods come off the boat. And that is an invoice, and the importer pays. And the importer passes it to the wholesaler. The wholesaler passes it to the distributor. The distributor, get your wallet out, passes it to you.
All right. We care more about other countries than we do about ourselves. But it's the same kind of guy doing the same kind of politics for the same kind of reasons in all of these places. And when the people see through it, we see through it the same way in every country. We recognize like and like. And so these authoritarians have effects on one another, and the protest movements against them have effects as well. After Trump was elected, Canada, for example, changed their mind and decided they would not elect their own Trumpy candidate. They would elect someone else who would stand up to Trump instead. They did a U-turn in that election. Same thing happened in Australia right after it happened in Canada. This weekend, same thing happened in Romania. A huge upset. The Trumpy candidate had long been expected to win and win by a lot. The people of that country turned around and said nope and elected the centrist mayor of Bucharest instead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have this great video from Charlie, and the way it unfolds will shock you. Let's watch it together.
Pulling out of Ukraine, do you think it ruined America's reputation around the world? I think so I want to hear your opinion on it, then we can chat about it.
What do you mean by pulling out of Ukraine? What do you mean by that?
We basically pulled out the funding for Ukraine, America, Trump.
Yeah, I mean, we've frozen it, but we're also brokering peace, which I think would improve America's standing around the world for sure. We need to end this war, end the slaughter of all the people between the Russian and
we
Ukraine.
need to end it the right way. Ending war isn't always the best thing, in my opinion. You need to end it the right way.
And what would that mean? Millions of more people dead?
No, it would actually mean fighting off Russia with economically. We need to add more sanctions. Sanctions is number one. Sanctions will kill Russia.
You know Trump
off.
did that last week, right?
Yeah, that's great. No, everything Trump does is not a bad thing. I need everybody here to know that everything Trump does is not a bad thing.
No, we
Trump
agree.
does some good things.
A lot of
but
good
a
things.
lot of bad things. So America has went down the tank economically too. I hate to switch topics like this, but economic. Yeah, I know.
So we're off.
Actually, no. Let's
we're off
stay-
Ukraine, or we're on
let's
economics,
stay-
or
We're gonna stay with Ukraine. We're gonna stay with Ukraine. So we promised Ukraine that we would stay in there if we took their nukes away, right? We're going to take your nukes away, and then we're going to help you. So
I mean,
do you
again-
agree that we made a promise with Ukraine to continue to defend them? Do you agree with that?
yeah, Biden did, of course. But the question is,
Okay.
at what cost and what expense, and how much money have we spent on the Ukrainian war?
I'll answer that right after I do this. Actually, I'll answer first. How much money have we spent? A shit ton. I agree. Actually,
$300 billion.
and most of that, you know where most of that is from? Old military weaponry. We take our old military weapons, since we haven't been a war for like for forever. We just have old military weaponry sitting around. We have
Afghanistan
old
war has been for
military
20 what are
weaponry
you
sitting
talking
around.
about?
We have old military weaponry sitting around. So we ship it to Ukraine so we don't have to pay it.
First of all, that's not true. We spent down our
is true.
reserves.
Dude.
We gave them new F-35s. We gave them new ballistic missiles. We gave them new Tomahawk missiles. We gave them new Javelin missiles. The Javelin is not antiquated technology. And not to mention that our own reserves and our own capacity to fill our armaments has now been depleted because of Ukraine. Do you know we've also written checks
we just gonna jump right there, or-
I'm sorry, what?
We're gonna jump because most of the
Well,
allocated
hold on.
funds
I'm
are.
going to keep going. We also put
No,
money
you're,
straight
no,
into
I got to
their-
cut you off. I'm so
straight
sorry.
into their pension system.
I got to cut you off,
We
man. 'Cause
put
you
money
just said a bunch
straight-
of stuff, and I got to respond to it. So most of the funds that are allocated to Ukraine are old weaponry. That is a fact. That is absolutely a fact. I'm surprised you didn't know that, but you can't
Okay,
just.
again, it's just not true. So we are
Look it up.
funding their pension system.
Look it up.
We are funding their entire government. The entire Ukrainian government is supported by wire transfers done from the
By
Western
UN and
world.
US, I agree.
Not to mention the missiles that they are actually firing are not, quote, outdated. They're ones that we should actually be able to use against the cartels.
No, I agree with that
so
because
let me
we
just
are
ask,
develop-
I don't want to spend too much time on this because
Really? This is super important. This is the biggest political aspect ever because we're
Fine.
losing foreign trust. We're losing foreign trust. You don't think so?
No, again, of course not. What does peace look like in Ukraine? Tell me the exact latitude and longitude that will make you happy. And is Crimea Russia's or Ukraine's?
I don't care about Crimea. It can be Russia's or
That's
Ukraine's.
the most important part of the entire
No, it's
war,
not.
man.
This
That's
is my
literally the
this
last
is my,
point of negotiation.
You want my opinion? This is my opinion. I totally agree. Way too many deaths have happened in Ukraine. I understand the other perspective that that millions of people died in Ukraine, and we want that to stop any way possible. But this way that we're doing it is not correct. If we're allowing Russia to just take the land and just take the land and have no repercussions, what's stopping them from doing it again? Nothing. Nothing's stopping them from doing it again. We need precautions. They already broke 3 agreements so far. Please tell me what's going to stop Russia from just doing it again. What's going to stop them?
Again, so first of all, you come from the wrong premise.
Get a load of this.
You come from the incorrect premise as if
so?
that we are not currently being tough on Russia and that we're not currently being tough on them.
Bro, we're slopping on them right now. What are
And
you talking about? Trump is
we have
slopping on that
sanctions,
shit, bro.
we have
Oh, I'm
tariffs.
sorry. I didn't mean to cuss. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but again, I just want to be very perfectly clear, which is we've spent $250 to $300 billion here. You say you don't care about Crimea, and so if you don't care
You're going
about
to harp on that point?
yeah, it's okay. Do you care about the Donbass?
Yeah, I care about
Okay, so what
I
part
care
of the,
about it,
so
but that's
name-
not my argument.
Do you care about Mariupol? Do you think Mariupol is Russia or Ukraine's?
Not informed on Mariupol.
Okay, then this is not even a discussion worth
It's
having.
not a
then.
discussion
No,
because I
if you
can't
don't-
be
it's-
informed on one thing.
Okay, how about the Donetsk region?
Not informed.
Okay, again, this is like very basic
Inform me then.
Ukrainian.
Inform me then.
No, again, I'm not going to spend time educating on stuff that you can find at ChatGPT. Here's the point, okay? Here's the critical point, okay? Which is that this is now a question over geography. And so I'm not going to dialogue with you on it if you don't even know the main towns that
So
are in
do you
question.
think all the U.S. You're just talking about old territories owned by the USSR? Like that's just what we're talking
no,
about.
that's currently Russian-controlled land because of the war. The question is, should they keep it or not? That is what's being negotiated.
Yeah,
Should
but I'm arguing if they're invading more. I'm not arguing for keeping any land. I'm arguing for if they should continue to invade more land and what's keeping them from invading more land, which you won't answer.
Yeah, okay, again, the minerals deal, part of it is a security agreement. Number 2, we should actually have a warmer relationship with Russia, which would prevent Russian expansion
Because
throughout
we're
Ukraine.
pussies, yes.
Well, okay, again, it's easy for you to say that. Do you think it was wrong for us to work with Russia to defeat the Nazis?
No, because Russia, it wasn't as... Bro, Russia... we can, whoa, please don't think I'm stumbling. First of all, Germany is 1,000 times worse than Russia is right now. Like, I'm actually coming from a normal perspective on this. Like you're saying, it's reasonable to say that we're losing too many Ukrainians. Like, I understand that. That's why letting them have some land is almost understandable to me. But what's not understandable is that we have nothing to prevent them from taking more. I feel like you would agree with this. We need stronger, reasonable, like, lining to make sure they don't just break another deal. You know how many deals they broke already?
And
3.
we broke a lot of deals. You know, we broke a lot of deals too. We said NATO would not expand eastward. We said we would not involve No, we broke that deal. That was America.
Yeah, I know. That's
So
my point. We're fucking sucking right now.
No. Dude, you understand NATO expansion happened before Trump? Like, you got to calm down, man. Like,
No, this is too serious to be calm, man.
George W. Bush broke the NATO agreement. Biden broke the NATO. So, for example, we said
You
that
think
NATO
I
would.
condone that? No.
Okay, Biden broke the agreement we had with Russia that NATO would not expand eastward. Finland joined NATO under Joe Biden. So,
I'm not a Biden stan. I'm talking about America.
Okay, that's...
No, wait, what are you trying to say then? Tell me.
I'm disproving all of your points, and you're not even internalizing
all right,
it, okay?
Tell me one more time. I'm super listening.
Okay, again, man, like, you're a perfect example.
Are you gonna
and I'm going to say this as lovingly as I can.
Inform me.
You're a perfect example of someone who thinks you know everything about a topic, and you know literally nothing about a topic.
I literally said I didn't know 3 things.
So thank you for your time.
Really? You're not going to inform me?
Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is absolutely furious, and it shows in the worst possible way. Man, what a life some people are living. His anger is spilling out through rude and disrespectful behavior. Man, instead of just making your own point, just make your point. You know, he's trying to make a scene, trying to act macho like the alpha guy. It's crazy. And it's hard to watch because, you know, he doesn't seem to realize how badly it comes across. It's so bad. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up with the attitude? What's up with the attitude? He literally doesn't seem to genuinely... Okay, let me back off a little bit. This guy, clearly, he doesn't seem genuinely seeking for is somebody who's seeking for information, for understanding. Instead, he demands answers that aligns with what he already believes or wants to hear. How sad. Regardless of whether those answers are grounded on facts, reason, or reality, it's as if he's not even asking questions to learn or to grow. No. But to reinforce a narrative he is already committed to. It's sad because some people are living in those realities. What a life some people are living. That's a dangerous mindset, folks. That's a dangerous mindset because it closes the door to real dialogue. Man, even humility, the possibility of discovering something greater than oneself. Nobody is a monopoly of all information, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you're human. So, every moment you get to interact with others is an opportunity where you can learn, when you can grow. But clearly this guy, his mind wasn't open for that. No, he wasn't. And it's sad. It's really sad. There is a thing called personal responsibility. And it seems as if a lot of liberals, they are not really acquainted with this. Well, let me say this. Ladies and gentlemen, personal responsibility is truly empowering. It's one of the most liberating and transformative principles that a person, anyone, can embrace, irrespective of the color of your skin, where you grew up, where you stay, the language that you speak. No, it doesn't matter. When you take ownership of your actions, your choices, and your life, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start realizing you have power to shape your future. Everything will change. Everything will change. And that is called personal responsibility. It builds character, fosters resilience, and gets people to earn respect among others. Yeah, literally. But unfortunately, in today's culture, personal responsibility is always downplayed or replaced with blame shifting and entitlement. Can you imagine? But the truth is, when people begin to practice self-responsibility, when they start holding themselves accountable, following through on commitments, and making it an effort to grow, it doesn't only change their lives, but it even uplifts their families, communities, and entire nations. It does. And this man appears to be struggling, well, the way I see it, he appears to be struggling emotionally and mentally. I would think so. I mean, there is an instability in his demeanor. That's a bit hard to ignore. Yeah, because his reactions seem intense and disproportionate, suggesting unresolved inner troubles or turmoil. Yeah, because the anger he displays doesn't come from nowhere. It's likely a symptom of deeper wounds. Yeah, because why would any man who's sane just go up in front of a crowd just to embarrass himself? Why would anybody do that? I don't get it. And this is concerning because if left unchecked, the anger can become destructive. Literally. The anger can become destructive not only to the others, but even to his own self. He doesn't seem to have healthy ways of managing his emotions or even resolving arguments, conflict, disagreements, Yeah, and that can lead any man towards a very dangerous path. Yes, it does. And what this man truly needs is compassion, paired with the personal accountability that I spoke about. Yeah. Literally. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll close by this. My heartfelt desire is that this young man, this gentleman, so clearly having issues within himself, will someday come to discover the truth. Not just intellectual truth, but the kind of truth that reaches down to the heart, that reshapes a life from the inside out. I hope that someday, through reflections, guidance, and perhaps even encounters such as with people like Charlie, Candace, you'll come to see the bigger picture. Yes, you'll come to see the bigger picture. I want more than anything for him to find clarity, purpose, and peace. A life that is rooted in truth and filled with meaning. Because no one is beyond hope. And the story isn't over yet. No one is beyond redemption as long as you're still alive. And true meaning in life, true purpose of life is found in Jesus Christ. It's found in God. That's where we all came from. Yes, that's my greatest desire. Well, folks, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to click on the next one. And also don't forget to share, to like, to comment, and to subscribe. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye for now.